Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Here are the big stories we're tracking in the polity right now. The debate over the tax reform bill is far from over as lawmakers listen to the promoters and consultants and are set to continue today following submissions by experts amid rowdy session during Wednesday's plenary. And House of Representatives passed the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework 2025 to 2027 and fiscal strategy paper ahead of the 2025 budget presentation by President Bola Tinubu. And yet again, in another political imbroglio, the Rivers State House of Assembly has passed the Commission of Inquiry Bill 2024 into law to check the governor's powers to set up such commissions. Let's get you started with some of the things we're tracking in the polity, which is actually our responsibility. The National Assembly is our first port of call. There was a mild drama yesterday in the Senate because the senators protested the entry of the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the Director General of the Budget Office, and some consultant into the chamber over the issue of this controversial tax reform bill. The Senate leader, Senator Kwame Bamidele, had moved a motion for the suspension of plenary under Order 12 to allow the team into the chamber when the outburst ensued. Senator Abdul Ningi from Bauchi Central and Senator Alain Dume from Borno State raised objections over the Senate's decision to suspend the business of the day over the controversial tax reform bill in spite of its validity.
What began as a routine plenary session in the Senate quickly spiraled into a tense and dramatic affair barely an hour after lawmakers had settled for the business of the day. The session, initially scheduled to address items listed on the order paper, took an unexpected turn when the Deputy Senate President, Senator Barau Jibrin, made an announcement to suspend its rules.
In conjunction with the leadership, decided to invite the chairman of FRRS and experts in tax laws to come down here to brief us about the tax bill. Let consultants tell us what is there. Let the crafters of the bill, that is FRS, tell us about the bill. We want to make it as open as possible.
The move sparked immediate protests from some senators who raised strong objections.
I don't see anywhere whereby the senators should allow these people to come here and make the kind of interactions they so want. Committees of the Senate and Appropriation can invite for the interaction of this manner, no, but not the Senate in session.
Visibly agitated, another senator reacted with an outburst.
We should not in any way try to use the position of the Senate because the order paper is clear and we have been doing this. I have no problem having them to come here and explain whatever. We have been doing that, but we follow known procedures. It is not a matter that you just come and tell us after we are doing business of the day. Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. Please, I beg you in the name of God, in the name of God, this matter is very, very important to not only us, but Nigerians that we represent. And we swear by Bible and Holy Quran that will represent the interests of the people. And that
you have made your point. Can I respond to you?
You can rule me out of order.
Let me respond to you. Please. We are not here for rhetorics. We are acting on fact. Excuse me. Order, please. The Senate shall by resolution regulate its procedure. This is what we have just done. This is the resolution that we have just passed. You needed to have known what we have done. I therefore rule you out of order.
At the height of the disagreement, the aggrieved senators attempted a walkout in protest, but rescinded their decision after interventions. Minutes after, Senator Ali Ndume demanded an apology from the Deputy Senate President.
You called what I just mentioned on the point of order that I raised. You sitting there to say it's rhetorics. I think it's very unfortunate and you should apologize.
I don't think the word rhetoric is a negative word. It's not an offense. Nobody used that against you. In the context it was used, it wasn't used against you. It was a general statement. I therefore rule out of order.
The presidential team were then given the floor.
Nigeria is taxing its poorest people. We are taxing poverty. And it's not showing our tax collection because we have more than 60 official taxes and levies. Unofficially, those taxes and levies are more than 200. We believe it's time to address that problem. If we do not do these reforms now, then when should we do it?
At the end of the explanations, the lawmakers declined to ask questions.
The Senate has decided to invite the tax reform team on Thursday to further engage with prepared questions to clarify aspects of the reforms before a final resolution is taken. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezoke, Channels Television News.
Well, that clearly tells you that the session that is ongoing at the moment is going to be a heated one because the senators, some are agreeing to this bill, some do not. But next door, it was quite calmer. The House of Reps, they actually passed the laws. They passed the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper that's between 2025 to 2027. In passing the document, they adopted the recommendations of the Committees on Finance and National Planning, as well as Economic Development, one of which mandates relevant committees to investigate reports from the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Responsibility Commission, alleging that the NNPCL withheld 8.4 trillion naira as claimed subsidies for petrol.
The Deputy Speaker of the House chairs the Committee of Supply as members settle down for the consideration of the report on the all-important Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper 2025 to 2027. The report proposes projected oil benchmark prices at $75, $76.2, and $75.3 per barrel for 2025, 2026, and 2027 respectively, as well as domestic crude oil production pegged at 2.06, 2.10, and 2.35 for subsequent years of 2025, 2026, and 2027 respectively. Inflation rate is projected at 15.75%, 14.21%, and 10.04% for 2025, 2026, and 2027.
Putting this very ambitious target of 2.06 and 2.35, we are not likely to achieve it. And if we don't achieve it, we know that we are tightening our belt because we're already projecting that we are going to sell 2.06. And if we sell lower than that, we get lesser fund.
When you have projections, it's not certainty. And to get to this projection level, the operators of the NUPRC gave us the details. As of today, they are above 1.8, they are closer to 2 million.
The projection for 2025 is about 2 months away. That's where I'm going to. So I'm saying that the projection is over-ambitious.
Minority Leader, 2025 is not January 2025. That it will happen in 2025 is a projection. That is what, but so when you say it's only 2 months, I don't think that is very logical. We are saying the projection is saying within the year of 2025.
Lawmakers also react to the proposed GDP growth rate of 4.6, 4.4, and 5.5% for 2025, 2026, and 2027, as well as exchange rate of 1,400 naira to a dollar.
The Chinese were in the embassy and they were asking me that people in Nigeria now, they come only to buy machineries. That it appears Nigeria want to start producing. So many industries are coming up. The GDP definitely might be more than this.
The CBN, the Monetary Policy Committee, hiked interest rate yesterday. I think it's currently at 27.5%. The governor met the House committee recently, Your Excellency, and he assured us that they've taken their decisions based on accurate data. The problem is it's always better to underpromise and overdeliver. There is a risk in this aspect, and we go back to borrowing, and they'll see us as the house that is accepting borrowing.
Let us revert to managed floating. If they're saying 1,004, with the understanding that we are going to do managed floating, then I'll go with 1,004.
The House also adopts the recommendation to investigate reports from the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Responsibility Commission alleging that the NNPC withheld 8.48 trillion naira as claimed subsidies for petrol. The investigation is expected to address the NATI report that the NNPC also failed to remit 3.6 trillion naira in taxes to the federal government. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Well, there's a lot going on in the National Assembly. Also, there's a lot going on in the Rivers State House of Assembly. No, Rivers drama never ends, and it's going to be the focus of our conversation. But first, we'll go to Ebonyi State for the Ebonyi State 2025 budget presentation by the governor, which is taking place at the moment. So we're taking that live on our DSTV platform, but on all other platforms, our terrestrial platform and online, we'll continue with Lunchtime Politics. All right, let's tell you that the Rivers State House of Assembly has passed a Commission of Inquiry Bill 2024 into law. This followed the public hearing of the bill, which had earlier scheduled first and second reading on the floor of the House. The Speaker, Martin Ameule, insists that the bill will prevent undue political influence of political actors on government policies.
Mr. Speaker, in fact, a message was sent through us to you, commending you for allowing such bill to be sponsored by some members of the House.
We have in part in 4, under number 4, that the fine under section 4 should be upwardly reviewed to 500,000 as against 50,000. Well, Mr. Speaker, I don't think 500,000 is, my opinion is that 500,000 is not enough. I would suggest that that be raised to 1 million.
Honorable members, by the voting this afternoon, the Rivers State Commissions of Inquiry Bill 2024, which is a bill for a law to repeal the Commissions of Inquiry Law, Cap 30 Laws of Rivers State 1999, and to reenact the Rivers State Commission of Inquiry Law for the holding of Commissions of Inquiry 2024 and for other matters connected thereto is hereby passed.
All right, so that is a focus of our conversation. This back and forth, this power play, this disagreement, never disagreeing or never agreeing situation in Rivers politics. Being joined by senior lawyer Chukuma Chinwa, is a lecturer from the Rivers State University. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Let's kick off with this never-ending imbroglio between the Rivers State House of Assembly and, of course, the governor. So, speaking clearly by law, to what extent can the governor go in setting up a panel of inquiry with or without the House of Assembly? Because Section 5 of the Constitution talks about some of the powers of the president as well as the governor on some of these things. So they have now passed a law saying, look, if you have to set up a commission of inquiry, this is now the way to go. What's your interpretation of what is playing out?
Well, the only interpretation you give to what happens in Rivers State is that you have a group of young men who have decided to turn the law on his head, turn the constitution on his head, and do what they want. Ordinarily, we shouldn't be honoring them with these discussions, but I know what the press will do. You give everybody opportunity to be heard and presume that things are what they are until maybe finally issues are settled. So coming to that, there is a fundamental misconception of what Martin Amewule and his group are doing. And I'm saying that with all sense of responsibility to the law and the Constitution. The issue of setting up of Commission of Inquiry is not a Rivers State thing. It's been there in virtually every nation. In England, in the federal level, there is Tribunal of Inquiries Act. I think all the states have it. They had them in all the regions. And then when the states were created, many of them made them their laws. River State also, in that line, had the Commission of Inquiries law, which is cap 30 of the laws of River State. Now, as setting up of a Commission of Inquiry, by the way, I teach and I do my research on administrative law. The Commission of Inquiry is an entirely executive act. It is just a way of the executive being able to look into issues, but ensuring that in doing that, people are fairly given opportunity to present the facts as they know. And therefore, the governor doesn't just act unilaterally. But it is never a function that is shared between the executive and the legislature. But this is a strange one that Martins Amehule and his group, assuming they are a legislature, they are now trying to say that the exercise of that power will be shared between them and the executive. And incidentally, they talked about separation of powers. This amendment they are making, if it were to be a law, is hit fundamentally at the concept of and doctrine of separation of powers. You don't go and exercise executive power by the legislature. It's not done. Not anywhere in the world, not in Nigeria. So I think it's a lot, of course, everything they've been doing, everybody knows is just entertaining themselves there. But strictly speaking in law, it is not going to fly.
And I know that the Court of Appeal has recognized the Amehule Group as the legitimate House of Assembly, although it's still under adjudication at the Supreme Court. We're yet to get that and all of this. But from what you see and in terms of law, it looks like, so for lawyers and the law, let me rephrase my question. For lawyers and the law, when it looks like pieces of legislation is not solving a problem and political discourse has gone as nosedived, what exactly should we resort to? Because this looks like a battle of attrition where it's about the man who will bleed out first.
Yeah, I think that you got it. It's like a battle of attrition, but the danger of for lawmaking is that if you make a law based on trying to attack one person or your opponent, that's what we call making a law ad hominem, it's often going to lose the credibility of a law. And vis-a-vis the Constitution, it will not survive. So that is the danger. And there are fundamentals based on which Nigerian Constitution is founded. Section 4, 5, and 6 have divided the political powers, the governmental power of the country into the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. And if you're making any law that goes contrary to the fundamentals, then that law is bound to be declared as unconstitutional. So that's what I'm saying. Assuming without agreeing that they were the House of Assembly, what they are doing is inconsistent with the separation of powers. It's inconsistent with the fundamentals of the Constitution. And I don't see it stand. But you see, I advise them, for whatever it is worth, that what they are doing should not be done because you are targeting Fubara. It's like what they did before the election in 2023. They made this same House of Assembly made laws saying people cannot campaign, public order laws were amended. The next day, when they now realized themselves, when the man that instigated them to do that has left office, they now came back to try to amend that law, to re-amend it and return to the proper thing. So it's just a waste of time, maybe because of not having enough work to do or not having work to do at all. So that is the thing. In a constitutional democracy, the Constitution is the foundation on which everything is done. And if you are doing anything contrary to it, you're almost going to you're doing a vain work. So they shouldn't make laws based on the attrition, whatever the disagreement they have with the governor. You said something that Court of Appeal declared them as the legitimate house. Let me make that clear. It was a case of National Assembly wanting to take over the function of the House of Assembly in Rivers State. And they went to court to say, look, the conditions have not existed. We are the House of Assembly, and that was before they defected. So the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal said, as it was at the time they went to court, they were the House of Assembly, just a motor decision. It didn't deal with what happened after that. They themselves came and knocked themselves out of the scene by defecting when there was no crisis in their party and lost their seat automatically. So the Court of Appeal judgment must be read within the context in which it was delivered, not because the Court of Appeal judgment. When judgments are given, they are based on the facts and the time. It's very fundamental. So that is the issue. It's better we correct that before Nigerians.
Okay. If we stay strictly...
Court of Appeal,
okay. My apologies. If we stay strictly by the law, because what is going on in Rivers State is quite funny. In fact, we call it the theater of the absurd between the governor and the House of Assembly members. At the end, some things we've seen in Rivers State, we've never seen it. Almost turning the law on its head. So we see a situation where the lawmakers sit down, amend laws and make laws like the local government administration law and now this one, and then they transmit it to the governor. The governor, of course, will not, assent to it because of their crisis, and then they veto him. And then the governor has his own people. He also presents legislation or whatever submission he has to make to that arm of government. So with this particular development, what is there a constitutional provision to dismiss the move by the Ameule-led House of Assembly?
Well, the constitutional provision, starting from their own status, like I said, Section 109(1)G has made it clear that they are not members of the House. So this is a group of people gathering somewhere doing so. So if you don't have, by the Constitution, you don't have that to make laws if you are not properly elected and sworn in. So they are not, there's no constitutional basis. But apart from that, assuming without considering that they were even in the House, you can also go and make that law contrary to the Constitution, which has vested executive power. The power to set up a commission of inquiry is an executive power. I vested it on the governor. It's not vested on the legislature. And the national level is not vested on the National Assembly. It's the president that can set up a commission of inquiry, tribunal of inquiry, whatever you call it. So foundationally, they are wrong. They are just doing the wrong thing. But like you said, it's because there's a crisis. A crisis that allows people to do the wrong thing, assume that they're doing the right thing. But ultimately, where does it lead to? It leads to the fact that Nigerians know that, and the law is clear, that it's a waste of time. And we are pained that they have turned Rivers State, like you said, the theater of the absurd. And people are wondering, what kind of state is this? Well, it's the state that one man has said that he can do what he wants and then export crisis to other states. Unfortunately, that's what we're facing. But thank God we are surviving it in any case.
All right, so just as we begin to wind down, sir, let's even admit that this commission of inquiry is carried out by the governor, is set up by the governor. Are there legal provisions that have limitations? Maybe such things like, is there any situation where it would need legislative approval or judicial review for it to be validated in any form or shape? You're the lawyer here.
Yes, it can be so. The governor's exercise of power to set up a commission of inquiry is subject to judicial review, but not subject to legislative review. Once there is the law, the commission of inquiry law is there. If legislature doesn't get involved, you pass the law, but the law you pass also must be consistent with the Constitution, because every law that is not consistent with the Constitution is null and void in Nigeria. Then, when that is done, when that law, if it's a valid law, governor exercises his power, that power is subject to judicial review, but not legislative review. So that's what I'm talking about. The governor has the power, currently as a commission of inquiry that is going on, and that commission is acting portion to the power of the governor is Cap 30 of the laws of Rivers State. That's the commission of inquiry law. So that is what it is.
Yeah, Mr. Chinwo, I wasn't talking about, Mr. Chinwo, I wasn't talking about, I was talking about judicial review and perhaps legislative approval.
Yes. No, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing that comes in once the law is passed. With whoever existing law, if the law is valid, it doesn't require legislative approval. Excuse me. It does not require legislative approval anymore.
Okay. Almost thank you so much, Mr. Chukwuma Chinwo, a senior lawyer, over 30 years of legal experience, and is lecturing at the Rivers State University. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate your insight.
Well, I'm a Dr. Chukwuma Chinwo, I'm a PhD holder. So
doctor. My
academic. It matters. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for coming on the program, sir. Okay, just before we wind down the program, there's been a back and forth between Governor Sheriff Oborowere and, of course, the senator representing Delta North, Ned Nwoko. The governor has denied allegations made by the senator representing that region, that's Ned Nwoko, who claimed that the governor declined discussions around plans to initiate developmental projects in Ndokwa and other parts of Delta North. While speaking during the courtesy visit by Ndokwa, NECU union led by its president at the State Government House. Governor Borowore says Senator Nwoko has never engaged him in discussion regarding developmental projects in the state.
Sometimes as a governor, you will hear something, you will see something, you will be deep not to respond. But I saw a video that went viral about some demands that the senator representing this Anioma nation, that he discussed with me. Tell him he never discussed any issue with me. The only time Senator Nen Nwoko came to see me was to solicit for appointment for some persons in Ndokanje who had granted him. But when I saw the video, maybe he didn't know that the video would go viral. When I saw it, I just smiled. He didn't have the courage to call me today. He had been calling me before. He never. So tell him he lied. He should concentrate why he was elected. The mandate that had been given to him to represent the Anioma people, what he will bring on board, whole stakeholders meeting, engagement with the people. I was once a member of the House, became a speaker. Normally I do briefing. Let him brief the people who elected him, brief them what he knows he can give to them.
Well, interesting perspective. That's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.